Section 1. The Man Who Built Tomorrow. Some people see the world as it is and ask why. Others dream of things that never were and ask why not. Atto Boulding belongs to the second group. He is a man who looked at our cities. He looked at our homes. He looked at our public spaces and did not just see buildings. He saw opportunities for connection. He saw opportunities for sustainability. He saw opportunities for a better way of living. His name might not be as famous as some historical figures, but the world we inhabit today is a direct result of his quiet, determined vision. He did not shout his ideas from the rooftops. Instead, he built them brick by brick, project by project, until the world could no longer ignore his genius. This is the story of how one person's unshakable belief in a better future changed the very ground beneath our feet. Atto Boulding is a visionary architect and urban planner. His most significant achievement is the creation of the Living Cities framework. This was not just a single building. This was not just a park. It was a revolutionary model for urban development. The framework integrated renewable energy. It integrated green spaces. It integrated community-focused design into the very DNA of city planning. Before Boulding, sustainability was often an afterthought, a feature to be added on. He made it the foundation. His work showed that cities could grow without destroying the environment. He proved that modern life and nature could coexist, not just in harmony, but in a way that made both stronger, healthier, and more resilient for generations to come. The impact of his work is felt across continents, from the bustling metropolises of Asia to the historic towns of Europe. His principles have been adopted and adapted. The core idea was simple yet profound: design for people, not just for profit. He believed that a well-designed city could improve public health, reduce crime, and foster a stronger sense of community. He challenged the old ways of thinking, which prioritized cars over pedestrians and concrete over parks. Boulding's approach was a radical departure, and at first many dismissed it as idealistic or impractical. But he persisted, demonstrating through small-scale projects how his ideas could work in the real world, creating spaces that were not only beautiful, but also deeply functional. This essay will trace the remarkable journey of Atto Boulding. We will explore his path from a curious young student to a global leader in his field. We will look at the people who inspired him and the challenges that tested his resolve. The purpose is to understand the man behind the blueprints. We want to see how his early experiences shaped his bold ideas, and how he navigated the complex world of architecture and politics to bring his vision to life. This is not just a story about buildings, it is a story about perseverance, innovation, and the power of a single individual to leave a lasting mark on the world. His life offers a blueprint for anyone who dares to dream of a better tomorrow. Section 2. The Blueprint of a Legacy. To truly understand Atto Boulding's legacy, we must follow the timeline of his career. It is a path marked by clear and distinct milestones, each one building upon the last. His journey began in a small, crowded university library, where he first encountered the ideas that would define his life's work. His early years were filled with small, experimental projects, many of which were met with skepticism. These experiences taught him the importance of patience and practical skills to turn abstract concepts into tangible structures. He learned that changing the world is a slow, methodical process, one step at a time. The next phase, a major breakthrough: the Greenspire Residential Tower. His first large-scale application of the Living Cities framework. It captured the world's attention. We'll examine this pivotal moment, the immense technical challenges he faced, and the innovative strategies he developed to overcome them. His reputation shifted from promising theorist to proven practitioner. Greenspire's success opened doors to larger projects, letting him apply principles citywide and influence public policy globally. He was designing the future of urban life. But his rise had difficulties. At the peak of his influence came significant setbacks: economic downturns, political opposition, professional rivalries. These threats could have derailed his plans. Instead, Boulding showed resilience. He adapted strategies and built broader coalitions, finding new ways to advance his vision. In struggle, his leadership was forged, proving his commitment to seeing ideas through. This essay will be more than a biography, an exploration of the principles that guided his work and life. Personal anecdotes and direct quotes from colleagues and critics, paired with clear project analysis, will create a full picture. We'll examine measurable impacts: reduced energy consumption, increased public well-being, inspiration for a new generation of architects and planners. The tone stays even and respectful, letting facts and work speak. Our goal: a clear, accessible story for every reader, offering lessons in innovation, leadership, and the art of building a lasting legacy. Table of Contents, Part 2, Act 1, Early Life and First Steps, 5 sections. Section 1, A Childhood in Concrete and Clay. Section 2, The University Years, Seeds of a New Philosophy. Section 3, The First Mentor, Lessons in Humility. Section 4, Small Projects, Big Ideas. Section 5, The Turning Point, A Crisis of Faith. Section 1, A Childhood in Concrete and Clay. Atto Boulding was born in 1965 in the port city of Rotterdam. His childhood was shaped by the unique landscape of a city rebuilt after World War II. He grew up surrounded by the symbols of rapid, functional reconstruction: vast concrete apartment blocks, efficient but impersonal public spaces, a relentless focus on practicality over beauty. This environment was his first teacher. From a young age, he spent his days exploring the sprawling urban environment. He noticed small pockets of nature fighting to survive in the cracks. He saw people moving through these spaces, often disconnected from their surroundings and each other. His father was a dock worker, a man of few words who taught Atto the value of hard work and physical reality. His mother was a potter, an artist who found beauty and function in shaping simple clay. This duality of influences was profound. From his father, he inherited a deep respect for structure, for things that were built to last and serve a purpose. From his mother, he learned that form and beauty were not luxuries, but essential elements of human experience. He would spend hours in her small studio, watching her transform a lump of earth into something elegant and useful. The interplay between the industrial and the organic, the massive scale of the city and the intimate scale of a handmade pot, would become a central theme of his entire life's work. Boulding was not a standout student in the traditional sense. He was quiet and observant, more interested in drawing in his notebooks than in memorizing dates and formulas. His sketches were not of people or landscapes, but of buildings, bridges, imagined city layouts. He would redesign the housing estate where he lived, adding gardens on the roofs, creating walkways that connected buildings, and carving out small parks where there was only concrete. His teachers saw these as idle daydreams, but for Atto, they were serious explorations. He was trying to solve the problems he saw around him, using his pencil to create a world that felt more human, more alive, and more connected than the one he inhabited. This early fascination with the built environment was not just an artistic inclination. It was rooted in a deep sense of empathy. He watched how the elderly struggled to navigate the vast, windy plazas. He saw how children had few safe places to play. He noticed the loneliness that seemed to permeate the identical, stacked apartments. He didn't have the words for it then, but he was developing an intuitive understanding of how architecture directly impacts human well-being. He felt that the city his parents' generation had built was a testament to survival, but he dreamed of building a city that was a testament to living. This dream, born in the concrete playgrounds of Rotterdam, would be the guiding star of his entire career. Section 2. The University Years, Seeds of a New Philosophy. When it came time for higher education, Bolding's choice was clear. He enrolled in the architecture program at the Delft University of Technology. This was a place steeped in technical precision and engineering prowess. A perfect fit for his practical side. But he quickly found himself at odds with the prevailing academic culture. In the early 1980s, the curriculum was dominated by modernism and rigid offshoots. The focus, grand sculptural forms and theoretical purity. The human element was often treated as secondary, a problem to be managed. He grew disillusioned with abstract theories. He found solace in the university's vast, dusty library. He discovered earlier thinkers who had challenged the establishment. He read about the Garden City movement. He studied Jane Jacobs. Jacobs championed messy, vibrant, mixed-use neighborhoods over top-down, sterile planning. These names weren't taught in class, but they matched his childhood observations. He realized he wasn't alone. Cities should be for people first. This intense self-study was transformative. He began forming the core principles of his Living Cities framework. He connected urban design. He connected public health. He connected social equity. He connected environmental sustainability. While peers designed sleek, unadorned glass boxes, Bolding sketched buildings with integrated greenhouses and communities powered by local renewable energy. Professors were often critical, calling his ideas naive and impractical. One professor, "Architecture is about creating monuments, Mr. Bolding, not about planting vegetables." The dismissal only strengthened his resolve. He excelled technically despite the friction. He mastered engineering. He mastered materials. He mastered construction. He worked twice as hard, proving his ideas were practical. He graduated with honors, but left with a philosophy. He believed architecture must shelter people. It must heal them. It must connect them, and create a symbiotic relationship with the natural world. That philosophy would now face its greatest test, the real world. Section 3. The First Mentor. Lessons in Humility. After graduation, Bolding could have joined a large, prestigious architectural firm. His grades and technical skills would have guaranteed him a position. Instead, he made a decision that puzzled many of his classmates. He sought out an apprenticeship with Ilara Vance, an older, relatively unknown architect who worked from a small studio in a quiet corner of Utrecht. Vance was not famous for designing skyscrapers or museums. Her practice focused on small-scale community projects, renovating local libraries, designing accessible playgrounds for children with disabilities, creating small urban parks. She was a master of what she called quiet architecture, design that served the community without calling attention to itself. Vance became the most important mentor in Bolding's early career. She was a tough and demanding teacher. She saw the brilliance in his vision, but also the impatience of youth. On his first day, he presented her with his ambitious sketches for eco-cities and self-sustaining towers. She listened patiently, then handed him a set of plans for a public restroom in a local park. "Before you can build a city, Atto," she said calmly, "you must first learn to design a single, perfect bench. You must understand how one person will use it, how the sun will hit it in the afternoon, how it will feel on a cold morning." This was his first great lesson in humility. Working with Ilara Vance, Bolding learned to see the world at a human scale. He spent months not designing, but observing and listening. He interviewed residents about a proposed community garden, asking about their daily routines, their hopes, and their fears. He measured the turning radius of wheelchairs to ensure a new library ramp was truly accessible. He learned that the success of a project was not measured by its aesthetic boldness or its media coverage, but by its quiet integration into the fabric of daily life. Vance taught him that the most profound architectural statements were often the ones that whispered instead of shouted, empowering the people who used the space. This period was crucial in grounding Boulding's grand vision in practical reality. He learned the art of negotiation, not just with contractors and city officials, but with the community itself. Vance showed him that the architect is not a solitary genius imposing a vision, but a facilitator who helps a community build its own future. He learned that a small, well-placed window that let in the morning light could bring more joy than a soaring atrium. It was during these formative years that he refined his philosophy. He combined his ambitious ideas about sustainability and systems with Vance's deep commitment to human-centered design. He was finally ready to build, not just with technical skill, but with empathy and wisdom. Section 4. Small Projects, Big Ideas. After 2 years under Ilara Vance's mentorship, Boulding felt ready to strike out on his own. He did not have the capital or the connections to start a large firm. He founded a small, one-man studio in a rented room above a bakery. He named it Symbiotic Structures. His first clients were not wealthy corporations or city governments. They were small businesses, neighborhood associations, families with modest budgets. His first commissioned project was converting a derelict garage into a small community workshop. The budget was almost non-existent, forcing him to be incredibly resourceful. He used reclaimed materials. He designed for natural ventilation. He organized community volunteer days to help with construction. This garage project became a miniature of his larger philosophy. On the roof, he installed a simple rainwater collection system that fed a small vertical garden. The garden insulated the building and provided fresh herbs for the local community. The space was flexible, a tool-lending library, a repair cafe, a meeting space for local groups. It was a living, breathing part of the neighborhood, not a grand monument. It showed that sustainable design could also be community building design. The project got a small notice in a local newspaper, his first public recognition. One small project led to another. He was hired to redesign a small urban courtyard for an apartment complex with many elderly residents. The existing space was a barren concrete square. Boulding introduced raised garden beds accessible from a seated position. A shaded seating area with comfortable benches. A winding non-slip path. He chose plants for sensory stimulation, fragrant herbs, textured leaves, colorful flowers. He saw the project as preventative healthcare. The garden encouraged gentle physical activity. The garden encouraged social interaction. The garden encouraged a connection to nature, improving well-being and reducing isolation. These projects taught him how to scale his ideas. He learned to adapt his principles to different contexts and budgets. He developed a reputation for listening deeply and delivering more than clients expected. He built a portfolio of functioning micro-communities. Each project was a proof of concept for clients and skeptical planners. He was methodically building his career with tangible results. He was proving that his vision was not just a dream. Section 5. The Turning Point. A Crisis of Faith. After several years of running his small studio, Ato Boulding faced a crisis. His small projects were fulfilling and locally successful, but not changing the world at the scale he dreamed. He felt trapped, designing courtyard gardens, garage conversions. Massive, unsustainable developments rose all around him. He submitted proposals for larger public projects, but was consistently rejected. His portfolio was seen as too small, his ideas too unconventional. Established firms won the bids with their political connections and with proven track records delivering large-scale conventional buildings. He began to doubt his path, wondering if Elara Vance's quiet architecture would remain quiet. The turning point came during a particularly cold, difficult winter. He had spent months on a proposal, an energy-efficient public library, but it was rejected. The contract went instead to a cheaper, faster concrete and glass box design. The rejection letter was clipped, dismissive. Boulding was devastated. He felt he had hit a wall. For the first time, he considered giving up and taking a stable job at a corporate firm. He walked for hours through the cold, indifferent city. That evening, dejected, he returned to the small community workshop he'd built from a converted garage. It was his very first project. The workshop glowed with light and activity. Teenagers learned to repair bicycles. Older residents sipped coffee near the herb garden. The space hummed with warmth, a sharp contrast to the city outside.
You see this? This place matters. You built this. Don't ever forget that.
Klaus's words hit him. Boulding realized impact wasn't measured by budget or height. It was measured by the human interactions it fostered. He'd been chasing big commissions and lost sight of his philosophy. His work mattered. It was already working. That night, his crisis of faith became renewed purpose. He wouldn't give up. He would change strategy, beat the big firms with innovation and evidence. He decided to consolidate his learnings and make a single, undeniable demonstration of his vision.